The fluorescent lights of Global Dynamics' 47th floor executive suite had witnessed countless corporate dramas, but none quite like mine. My name is Maya Chen, and for the past 5 years, I've been the executive assistant to Marcus Thompson, Senior Vice President of Client Relations. Or at least that's what everyone thought I was. Coffee, black, 2 sugars. Marcus barked as he strode past my desk, not even bothering to look up from his phone. Behind him trailed Thomas Weber and Sarah Phillips, fellow VPs, both wearing the same dismissive expressions I'd grown accustomed to seeing. They were headed to yet another crisis meeting about Stewart and Ross, our biggest client, who was threatening to leave. Again. I brought Marcus's coffee, perfectly prepared as always, and lingered by the conference room door. "Sir, I've been reviewing the Stewart and Ross situation, and I think I've identified the root cause of their dissatisfaction. If I could just share my analysis." Marcus cut me off with a laugh that made my teeth clench. "Maya, honey, why don't you stick to what you're good at? The phones need answering, and I'm sure there are some meeting minutes that need typing up." Thomas and Sarah exchanged amused glances. After all, what could a secretary possibly know about client retention strategies? They had their MBAs from prestigious universities, their corner offices, their inflated titles. I had a desk by the elevator and a business degree from a state school that they assumed I'd never use. What they didn't know was that I also had a secret identity, NC Holdings, the mysterious consulting firm that had been quietly saving Global Dynamics' most troubled client relationships for the past year. Through a series of anonymous email exchanges and carefully encrypted video calls, I'd been providing strategic advice that had rescued millions in contracts, all while sitting at my humble desk, watching the real executives take credit for my solutions. It started by accident, really. After 3 years of watching Marcus and his team mishandle client after client, I began keeping detailed notes on their mistakes and potential solutions. When Stewart and Ross first threatened to leave last year, I created a fake consulting company email and sent an unsolicited proposal to their CEO, Jonathan Stewart. I knew their business inside and out from handling all of Marcus's correspondence and sitting in on every meeting, invisibly, of course. No one pays attention to the secretary taking notes in a corner. To my surprise, Jonathan Stewart replied. He was intrigued by my analysis and wanted to know more. Soon, we were having regular strategy sessions, him thinking he was speaking with a prestigious consultant, me calling from my tiny studio apartment using voice modulation software and a virtual background. The solution I proposed saved Stewart and Ross $12 million in operational costs while increasing their market share by 15%. They not only stayed with Global Dynamics but doubled their contract. Marcus took all the credit, of course, never knowing that his useless secretary had saved his biggest account. After that success, I expanded my secret operation, using insights gained from years of being the invisible observer in every major meeting. I began approaching other troubled clients. Within 6 months, NC Holdings had become the guardian angel of Global Dynamics' portfolio, swooping in to rescue failing relationships while the actual executives scrambled to understand what was happening. I kept meticulous records of everything: emails, meeting notes, strategy documents, financial projections. Every success, every intervention, all carefully documented and encrypted on a secure server. I also made sure to document every instance of Marcus and his team dismissing my input, every condescending remark, every time they took credit for solutions they didn't understand. The turning point came 3 months ago. I was working late, as usual, when CEO Deanna Chen, no relation, unfortunately, stepped out of the elevator. She wasn't supposed to be in town for another week, but here she was, looking concerned. "Maya," she said, actually remembering my name. "What are you still doing here?" I stood up quickly. "Just finishing some reports, Ms. Chen. Can I help you with anything?" She studied me for a moment, then asked, "You've been here 5 years now, haven't you? Always at your desk, always in the background." "Yes, ma'am." "Then maybe you can explain something to me." She pulled up a chair, the CEO of a Fortune 500 company sitting at a secretary's desk. "I've been tracking our client retention metrics, and something doesn't add up. In the past year, we've had 12 major accounts on the verge of leaving. All 12 suddenly reversed course and not only stayed but increased their contracts. The solutions implemented were brilliant, but..." She paused, choosing her words carefully. When I ask Marcus and his team to explain the strategies, they can't. Not really. They use the right buzzwords but don't understand the underlying mechanics. Yet someone does. Someone has been saving this division, and I want to know who. My heart pounded. This was it, the moment to come clean. But timing is everything in business, as I'd learned from years of observation. Ms. Chen, I said carefully, what if I told you I could explain everything, but I'd need about 2 weeks to prepare a proper presentation? She raised an eyebrow. 2 weeks? Yes. And I took a deep breath. I'd like to request that you schedule a full board meeting for next Tuesday. There are some things everyone needs to see. Deanna Chen studied me for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then she smiled, a small, knowing smile that suggested she might have already guessed more than she was letting on. Done. But this had better be good, Maya. It will be, Ms. Chen. I promise you won't be disappointed. After she left, I sat at my desk for a long time, thinking about what I just set in motion. Years of being underestimated, dismissed, and belittled were about to pay off in ways Marcus and his team couldn't imagine. The next morning, Marcus was in an especially foul mood. Stewart and Ross was threatening to leave again, and this time, he couldn't figure out why. I watched him storm around the office, barking orders and blaming everyone but himself for the situation. I had already prepared my usual anonymous consulting proposal for Stewart and Ross, but this time I held back. Let Marcus sweat a little. Let him face the board next Tuesday with no solution, no strategy, and no idea that his secretary was about to change everything. Sarah stopped by my desk late that afternoon, dropping a stack of papers in my inbox. Maya, be a dear and proofread these reports for the board meeting. And try to keep up with the technical terminology this time. We can't have any embarrassing typos. I smiled pleasantly. Of course, Sarah. I'll do my very best to understand all those big words. She walked away, satisfied with her daily dose of condescension. I pulled the reports closer, noticing with amusement all the errors in their analysis, the flawed projections, the misunderstood market trends. Next Tuesday, they would learn just how well I understood their big words. That evening, as I prepared to leave, Marcus called me into his office. Maya, about that ridiculous suggestion you made this morning. Trying to analyze client strategies, he chuckled, spinning in his expensive chair. Let me give you some advice. Know your place. You're good at what you do. Answering phones, getting coffee, keeping my calendar. Don't try to be something you're not. I nodded, playing my role one last time. You're right, sir. I apologize for overstepping. Good girl, he said, already turning back to his computer. Oh, and don't forget to pick up my dry cleaning before the board meeting on Tuesday. Of course, sir. I wouldn't want you to look anything less than perfect for what's coming. He didn't catch my tone or notice my slight smile. They never did. That's the thing about being underestimated. People don't just dismiss your abilities, they dismiss your very presence. They forget you're there, watching, learning, and planning. As I rode the elevator down to the lobby, I checked my secure email one last time. A message from Diana Chen was waiting. Board meeting confirmed for Tuesday, 10 a.m. Full attendance required. This had better be worth it, Maya. Oh, it would be. 5 years of careful documentation, a year of secret consulting success, and a lifetime of being underestimated were about to culminate in one unforgettable morning. I touched the flash drive in my pocket, containing everything I'd need to shatter Marcus's smug world. Tuesday was going to be interesting indeed. Tuesday morning dawned clear and bright over Manhattan's skyline. I arrived at the office 2 hours early, wearing the cream-colored pantsuit I'd been saving for this day. Not the typical secretary attire Marcus expected, but I wouldn't be his secretary much longer. The flash drive in my bag contained everything. A year's worth of encrypted emails with clients, detailed strategic plans, financial projections that had saved millions, and recordings of video calls where I, disguised as MC Holdings, had guided Global Dynamics' biggest clients through their transformations. More importantly, it contained proof that Marcus and his team had been taking credit for work they didn't understand while systematically dismissing and belittling the person actually responsible for their success. At 9:15, Marcus stormed out of the elevator, his face dark with worry. The Stewart and Ross situation had deteriorated further, and he had no solution to present to the board. Maya, he barked, where's my coffee? Black, 2 sugars. I said, handing him the cup. Your dry cleaning is hung in your office, the morning reports are on your desk, and the board meeting materials have been distributed. At least you're good for something, he muttered, slamming his office door. Sarah and Thomas arrived next, equally tense. They huddled in Marcus's office, desperately trying to craft an explanation for the client retention miracles they claimed credit for over the past year. Through the glass walls, I could see them arguing, pointing fingers, their carefully maintained corporate facades cracking under pressure. At 9:55, I gathered my materials and headed to the boardroom. Marcus emerged from his office, straightening his tie. Maya, hold my calls during the meeting, and have some antacids ready for when we're done. Actually, sir, I said, matching his stride, I'll be attending this meeting. He stopped short, looking at me as if I'd suggested flying to the moon. Excuse me? Ms. Chen's orders, I replied smoothly. She specifically requested my presence. Fine, he snapped. Take notes in the corner like usual. Just stay quiet and invisible. The boardroom was impressive, all mahogany and leather with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the sea. The board members were already seated, along with Diana Chen at the head of the table. I noticed several unfamiliar faces among them. Good morning, everyone, Diana began once we were all seated. I took my usual spot in the corner, laptop ready. Before we discuss the quarterly results, we have some special guests joining us today. She gestured to the unfamiliar faces. Please welcome Jonathan Stewart and Michael Ross from Stewart Ross, along with CEOs from several of our other major client companies. Marcus's face went pale. Our biggest clients were here to witness his failure. He shuffled his papers nervously, clearly unprepared for this development. Now, Diana continued, I've asked you all here because something remarkable has happened over the past year. Our client retention rates have skyrocketed, contracts have expanded, and innovative solutions have been implemented across the board. Marcus, why don't you start by explaining the strategy behind these successes? Marcus stood, tugging at his collar. Well, yes, of course. Our team has implemented a comprehensive approach to client relations. He launched into a series of buzzwords and vague explanations, each one making less sense than the last. Jonathan Stewart interrupted him. Mr. Thompson, could you specifically explain the supply chain optimization model that saved us $12 million? The one designed by MC Holdings. MC Holdings? Marcus blinked. I'm not familiar with. Really? Diana raised an eyebrow. Because according to our records, you've taken full credit for their strategies in every quarterly report. In fact, you received a substantial bonus for the Stewart and Ross success story. The room grew tense as Marcus floundered. Sarah and Thomas shifted uncomfortably in their seats, avoiding eye contact. This was my moment. I stood up, stepping away from my corner. Ms. Chen, if I may. Marcus shot me a warning glare, but Diana nodded. Please, Maya. I believe you have something to share with us. I connected my laptop to the room's display system. For the past year, I've been operating as an independent consultant under the name NC Holdings, providing strategic solutions to Global Dynamics clients while maintaining my cover as Mr. Thompson's executive assistant. The room erupted in murmurs. Marcus's face turned from pale to red. This is ridiculous. She's a secretary. A secretary with a business degree, an IQ of 142, and a perfect memory, I replied calmly. A secretary who has sat in every meeting, documented every decision, and watched as you and your team consistently ignored valuable opportunities and mismanaged client relationships. I began my presentation, displaying emails, strategy documents, and financial projections. When Stewart and Ross first threatened to leave, I created MC Holdings to propose solutions directly to them. The success of that intervention led to others. Over the past year, I've designed and implemented strategic initiatives that have generated an additional $147 million in revenue for Global Dynamics. Jonathan Stewart stood up. I can confirm this. We've been working directly with MC Holdings, or should I say, Ms. Chen, for months. Her insights into our business challenges and her innovative solutions have been extraordinary. One by one, other clients spoke up, confirming their interactions with NC Holdings and praising the transformative impact of my work. Marcus, Sarah, and Thomas sat in stunned silence as their world unraveled. But why maintain the charade? One board member asked. Why not take credit for your work? I smiled. Because being underestimated was my greatest advantage. While Mr. Thompson and his team were busy dismissing me as just a secretary, I was able to observe, analyze, and understand our clients' needs without office politics or egos getting in the way. I played a series of recordings, Marcus and his team taking credit for my work, dismissing my input, making condescending remarks. Then I showed the same meetings from the client's perspective, whereas MC Holdings, I had explained complex strategies that Marcus couldn't even understand. The final proof, I said, pulling up recent emails, is the current Stewart and Ross situation. They're not actually threatening to leave. They've been part of this revelation, deliberately creating a crisis to demonstrate that Mr. Thompson and his team have no ability to resolve client issues without NC Holdings' intervention. Deanna Chen stood up, commanding the room's attention. The board has reviewed Ms. Chen's evidence in detail. The decisions we've reached are as follows. Marcus Thompson, Sarah Phillips, and Thomas Weber are relieved of their positions, effective immediately. Maya Chen will be appointed as our new Executive Vice President of Strategic Solutions, overseeing all major client relationships. Marcus jumped to his feet. This is outrageous. You can't. Actually, Deanna cut him off. We can and we have. Security will escort you to clear out your offices. And don't bother trying to contact our clients. They've already signed new contracts under Maya's leadership. As security led the stunned executives out, Jonathan Stewart approached me. That was quite a performance, Ms. Chen. Though I have to admit, I prefer dealing with you as yourself rather than through voice-modulated video calls. I laughed. No more disguises needed, Mr. Stewart. From now on, we'll work together in the open. The aftermath was everything I'd hoped for and more. News of my revelation spread through the corporate world like wildfire. Secretary turned secret savior became a viral business story, leading to interviews, speaking engagements, and even a feature in Forbes. Marcus landed at a much smaller firm, where I heard he was particularly nice to his new secretary. Sarah and Thomas took positions several steps down the corporate ladder, their reputations tarnished by the scandal. As for me, I redecorated Marcus's old office, replacing his pretentious art with a single framed photo, my original secretary nameplate. Deanna Chen became my mentor, helping me navigate my new role with the same attention to detail I'd shown as a secretary. You know, she told me one day, I suspected it was you months ago. No one knows a business better than the person everyone underestimates. The biggest change wasn't my title or office, it was how people treated each other in the workplace. My story became a cautionary tale about the danger of underestimating people based on their position. Global Dynamics implemented new policies for evaluating and promoting talent, focusing on ability rather than appearance or title. 1 year later, I sat in my corner office preparing for another board meeting. On my desk stood a small plaque given to me by the administrative staff. Never underestimate a secretary, we know everything. My phone buzzed. A message from Jonathan Stewart. MC Holdings may be retired, but we still need your brilliant mind. Dinner meeting tomorrow to discuss expansion plans? I smiled, remembering the days when I had to disguise my voice to be heard. No disguise needed. I typed back. Just bring the challenges and I'll bring the solutions. Looking out over the city, I thought about all the other invisible employees out there, watching and waiting for their moment. My story had become their inspiration, proof that talent can't be suppressed forever, and that sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying others. It's about revealing your true worth in a way that transforms not just your own life, but the lives of others who have been underestimated. The secretary's desk outside my office isn't just a workspace anymore. It's a reminder that every position has potential and every person deserves respect. I make sure my new assistant knows that their ideas are welcome, their input valued, and their potential unlimited. After all, you never know who might be the next secret genius, quietly building their masterpiece while others underestimate them. Sometimes the most powerful person in the room is the one everyone else ignores, until the day they can't ignore them anymore. As I prepared for my next meeting, I couldn't help but smile at the irony. Marcus had told me to know my place, never realizing that my place was exactly where I am now, running the division he thought I wasn't smart enough to understand, leading the clients he thought I wasn't qualified to help, and transforming the company he thought I was just there to serve coffee for. Sometimes the best success story is the one no one sees coming until it's too late to stop it.